Every person who wants to start investing into property in the UK in 2021 has one question. Is it still worth it? Is it still possible to make a healthy profit on property in the UK in 2021? I think the answer is yes, and in this video I'm going to give you one example of a property that is on the market right now that can bring you a profit of up to £100,000 just from one single purchase. And if it's something that is of any interest to you, then don't turn this video off and keep watching. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Anastasia, and on this channel we talk about investing, and especially investing for beginners. So far we've mostly been covering the topic of investing into stocks and shares, and there are two more things that I would like to talk more about. One of them is cryptocurrency and investing into cryptocurrency. This is something that I will do soon, but in today's video I'd like to talk about investing into property. Property is probably still the most traditional way of protecting your money against the inflation. If you are still hesitating between investing your money into stocks and shares or property, I still think that stocks and shares is much easier to start with, as it doesn't require you to have lots of cash and it's much less time consuming. But in my case, I would like to diversify my portfolio even further and invest some money into property. If you are following my channel for some time now, you remember the video that I made about investing into stocks and shares and all the advantages it has over investing into property. But I still think that for the purpose of diversification of my investment portfolio, I would still like to invest into several houses in the UK that will bring me passive income. I bought my first own house a year ago and I completely renovated it. If I wanted to sell this house today, I'd probably make a profit of about £50,000 on it, which I'm very happy about. But since I've done it and I've realized that it's definitely still possible to make a healthy profit in property, I decided to start looking for another investment property, and I see some good deals coming up here and there, but it's definitely not every day. But now I found one house that is on the market right now. I found it on Rightmove, and if everything goes to plan, this house can bring me up to £100,000 in profit, and that is the property that I would like to tell you about in this video. When it comes to investing into properties, there are several strategies that you can follow, and the strategy that I chose for myself is called BRRR. These letters stand for buy, refurb, rent and remortgage. Among the main reasons of why I chose this strategy, first of all, is the fact that when you purchase the house and you spend all your time and money to make the refurb, you don't just sell it on and then start looking for another house like you do with flips. Buy a house, you refurb it and you sell it on. In my strategy, you get to keep the house, which I think is a good idea for the future. And the second main reason is that this strategy gives you as much of a control over your capital appreciation as an investor can possibly get. What I mean is, if you invest into stocks and shares, you buy the shares of a company that is controlled by someone else. These companies have their own owners, their own management, and you basically rely on them to grow the company. Whilst if you buy a house that needs a renovation or a refurb, you can control how much money you will need to spend to make your house livable, and you can also control the time. I mean, you are in control of how long it will take you to refurb the house before you can rent it and see some money getting back to you. So in terms of your capital appreciation, and especially the control over your capital appreciation, the strategy of BRRR is definitely the most suitable for me. The downside of this strategy is the fact that when you buy the house, it is usually a completely ruined house, a property that is not livable and that you need cash or a bridging loan to buy, because banks usually don't even give you the mortgage for houses like that. Another risk is the fact that such houses are usually sold by auctions. And this is where you have to compete with lots of other builders who are more experienced than you, who know what they're looking for, and who, most importantly, can refurb the house for a cheaper price than you can, because they have the made rates and they can do the majority of work themselves. I don't let that discourage myself, and every single morning when I wake up, I start my day by looking at the Rightmove website. I don't see good deals often at all. By not often, I mean maybe once a month, maybe even more seldomly. And usually when I see a deal, I call straight away, and several times in the last several months it happened that the property got sold before I even had the chance to see it. Some properties get sold before they even go on the market, and some of them get sold the same day with people buying property without even seeing it. I am not prepared to buy anything before I see it myself, but this particular house that I would like to talk about is going at an auction in less than 1 month, and that's going to be the first auction I'm going to take part in, so keep your fingers crossed for me that it will all work out. But I have already done my finances and calculations. I have already seen the house as well. I visited and saw it in person, and I'm definitely sure that there is a lot of profits to be made in that house. If you want to follow this story up and see how the auction goes, also hear about my experience of taking part at an auction for the first time, please subscribe to my channel not to miss this video. I'm gonna make it in about a month or so when this auction has already happened. Before that, I'd prefer not to share with you the information of what house it is exactly and where you can find it, because I think I'll have enough competitors already, but I can still show you all the information and the video that I've taken from inside the house to give you the general idea of how it looks and what you can get for this money. Another important thing that I have to mention is that I'm in the southwest. Southwest is known for high prices. This is the video that I've taken when I visited the house. You can see that there are some problems with damp, actually huge problems with damp. It's a terraced house, it's a 3-bed terraced house, and the bathroom is downstairs. But the overall condition of the floor and the walls is okay. No one could enter the roof, that's why I don't know what's going on there. I assume the worst, and this is what I included into my calculations. The windows are single glazed, means that I will have to change them for sure. That's another big cost. No one has been in the garden of this house because there is no access to it right now. It's so overgrown, which means that we will have to take care of that too. But look at the bathroom. Bathroom is probably the worst part of the house. It has holes in the roof and it's just completely ruined. The bathroom is in the extension. There is some damp, maybe that's rising damp, but it's not a problem. That's something that you can definitely treat. I had it in this house and I had no problems treating it. But this is the kitchen, and look at the kitchen again. The kitchen is in a state. The kitchen is situated in another extension of the house. So the kitchen and the bathroom are two extensions that were built God knows when, and I think that both of them will have to be destroyed and then built from new, which is also a very high cost. The guide price of this house is 140 to 160,000 pounds. This is a terrace house, as I said, so the house literally next door, the house that shares one wall with the house that I'm talking about, got sold last year in 2020 for 275,000 pounds. It was done up to a good standard, but there is still 135,000 difference between the house that I'm talking about and the house next door that has already got sold. So this is the example of an Excel file that I made specially for this video, just to show you how I make my calculations and the prices that I think the refurb will cost. As you can see, I made 3 different scenarios: optimistic, realistic and pessimistic. I really hope for the optimistic one, but I'm not sure it's gonna happen. But anyway, realistic and pessimistic also don't look too bad for me. So the guide price of this house is 140 to 160,000 pounds. It definitely will not go for 140, and I really doubt it's going to go for 160. But anyway, I took the highest number from the guide price as the optimistic scenario. So if the purchase price of the house is 160,000 pounds, legal fees that will include the stamp duty and everything else, like the lawyer and searches, everything else that you have to pay for, I think will cost around 8,000 pounds, and this is also max. Electrics will cost £3,500, and I'm pretty sure that this price is very close to the realistic price that it's going to cost us. It will include the full rewire, and I have the electrician who made the full rewire for my house, which I purchased a year ago. It was also a 3-bed house in a similar area, so I think it's not going to cost more than that. Gas I put as £5,000 because there is no actual gas inside the property, but I know that there is a gas pipe outside on the road. So to connect the actual house to that gas pipe, I think will cost around £5,000. I've already spoken to the plumber, and this is the price that he's given me. The other plumbing problems that the house has, there are obviously no good pipes inside the actual house, and once the kitchen and the bathroom are installed, the plumber will have to connect them to the pipes. I think that will cost around £5,000. That will also include new heating. This price, I don't see it going higher than £5,000, but I think it is possible that it's going to be less. Now, windows and doors I put as £4,000. All of them need replacing, and I did the same in my house a year ago. There were many more windows, including 2-bay windows. That's something that the house we're talking about right now doesn't have, and I paid £4,500. So I think £4,000 is a very realistic figure too. Kitchen I put as £2,000 and the bathroom of £1,500. Again, realistic figures. I know this is not top and high quality, high standard kitchens and bathrooms, but they are also not the worst. It's not like something is second hand. This will be something new, something modern. I've seen prices like that. I'm sure, 1000% sure that it's possible, and again, it can even be a little bit less than that. The extensions is a big expense, but again, I think it has to be done because you've seen on the video those extensions, they are good for nothing, and probably, most probably, they'll have to be completely destroyed and rebuilt. But the foundations are already there. That's why I don't think that there will be any need for a digger. And in general, digging the foundation is very time-consuming and labor-consuming task, which can cost quite a bit. Without this task, I hope that the whole price will be around £10,000. That includes 2 extensions, both for the bathroom and for the kitchen. The floor of, I put the price of £1,000. I think it's just the material because me and my husband, we are capable of putting the floor down ourselves. That's what we've done for our house, and this is what we're going to do for that house too. The same goes for tiles and for decorating the house. Of course, we will need to buy the actual tiles and the paint, but it's not a big expense, and I don't know how much it will cost. It will depend on the areas that we decide to tile. If it's only the bathroom and just some part of the kitchen, you know, it's not going to be a lot at all. So I put it as 0. All things like extra painting, tiles, and maybe some other undiscovered problems that we haven't seen when we visited the house, but something that will get clear once we actually start refurb. I put it as extras, and most of the people recommend to put extras at 10% of your total cost. I put it as 20% just to be on the safe side. So 20% comes up to £6,400. So the total cost of the refurb will be basically £38,500. I think this figure is very realistic, and I'm pretty sure you can do it a little bit cheaper than that because it always depends on the standard to which you refurb the house. If you don't need a very high standard, then it can be less. And the higher price, the top limit, there is no limit because you can pay hundreds of pounds for each handle on your door. But that's not something that I'm going to do. The total cost comes to £206,000. That includes the purchase price, legal fees, and then the total cost of the refurb. And the end value, which means that when we decide to remortgage the house, when we decide to take the mortgage on the house, because we are going to make the initial purchase with cash, it's going to be a cash purchase. So the end value, I think, is £275,000. I base this figure on the price of the house that got sold last year next door. I think the actual value this year might be a little bit bigger, but I prefer to stay on the safer side. That's why I put that price here that I'm 100% sure about. £275,000, I don't see how this house can cost less than this. Then when we take the mortgage on this house, we get 75% of the end value, which is £206,000, £250. That means that at the end of the actual process, I end up with this sum in my bank account, plus I own 25% of the property because I obviously took the mortgage only for 75% of the house. So that means that in the optimistic case scenario, I don't have any money left in the actual deal, and according to my calculations, I actually make £150. Of course, I owe money to the bank. I owe more than £200,000 to the bank. That's why I also check how much my mortgage repayments will be. I check it for a 5-year fixed mortgage, and it's an interest-only mortgage, and the repayment is £350 per month. But the rental price in this area is around £1,000. £1,000 is a very, very conservative figure as well. I think it will go for more than that. But even if we count £1,000, you can see the difference is a profit. There might be some void periods, of course, but that is not important for this case scenario because everything you make, every single pound you make on this deal is actually your profit, because after the remortgage you didn't leave any money in this deal. Now let's look at the realistic case scenario. Realistically, I think this house might get sold for £185,000. If that happens, the refurb cost doesn't change, so the refurb cost is still the same, £38.4 thousand pounds, but the total cost, because the purchase price has changed, the total cost will be £231,400, which means the end value is the same, the mortgage that you take is the same, and the money that is left in the deal, because your original purchase price was higher, so the money that's left in the deal is £25,000. At the end of the whole process, you end up with minus £25,000 in your bank account, but you still own 25% of the house, and you are able to do whatever you want with this house. So the mortgage repayments haven't changed. You still take the same sum when you remortgage the house, but you get this initial investment of £25,000 back in 4 years with the same figures. That if the rental price doesn't change and doesn't go up, and you still in 5 years or in 3 years you still rent it for £1,000. In the pessimistic case scenario, I think the house might get sold for £200,000. But if that happens, you have to think that the house will get sold for more than 20% above its guide price. Would someone be willing to pay that much when the guide price is so low? I think in the current market it is possible. That's why I have to include this case scenario in my calculations, but I hope that it will not get to that. I will not explain too much about all these figures because it goes exactly the same as for 2 previous scenarios, but you can see that if I pay this much for the house, I will get my money back, which is £40,000. At the end of the deal, I will have £40,000 less in my bank account than before I started. I will get this money back in 6.5 years. This is okay, it's not bad, but it's also not great. I'm looking for an investment where I could get my money back within the first 3 to 4 years. What I haven't included in these calculations is the fact that this house is situated in a popular touristic area, which means that potentially I will be able to rent this house through Airbnb, and I have already done my research and I've seen that similar houses go for around £130 to £200 per night, and that means that obviously this figure here, rental price, will at least triple. Not to get yourself screwed for life, you also need to have several exit strategies. An exit strategy means a strategy that you will follow in case something goes wrong. It's better to have several exit strategies from the very beginning, not to get caught by a surprise in case something is actually more expensive than what you thought it would be, or when you get let down by some builders, which is a very common thing, or the government comes up with a new idea of how to make the life of landlords even more difficult. So in this instance, I have several exit strategies and I'm going to share with you all of them. My main strategies that I hope will work is the BRRR strategies that I told you at the beginning of the video. I hope that it will take me about 2 or 3 months to complete all the works. Then I will rent this house out long term, and then after that I'm gonna remortgage this house and I'm gonna get 75% of the end value of the property back into my bank account. Second strategy, which is also very interesting for me, is serviced accommodation, which means that the potential returns are even greater than what I imagined. The third strategy is the flip strategy. A flip strategy means that I buy this house, I refurb it and I sell it on. I don't think it will get to that, so this is my plan C that is just there in case. It's just something that makes me feel safer, but I'm pretty sure that I'll be able to sell this property for a profit, meaning that I take almost no risk on myself whatsoever. I think this is everything that I wanted to share with you today. I feel super excited. If you want to know what happens to it and if I actually get this house or not, please subscribe to this channel, because then you will definitely not miss the video when I actually make one. If you found this video interesting or useful, please click the like button below. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and let me know in the comments what you think about what I've just said. Do you think my calculations are correct? Do you think it's going to work? Maybe you have your own experience of investing into property like that and refurbing it. Share it with me, please. I will be very grateful if you decide to do so. But for today, I think that's it. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video to the end, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.